Hi viewers, welcome to LipiEpics. So today we have a senior journalist Suresh Kochattil garu. So let us have a dialogue about Mahabharata and why it is still relevant in this generation. Even Gen Z can relate to Mahabharata and it looks very awesome. So let's dive into Mahabharata. Sir, namaste.
Namaskar. Glad to be here.
Sir, we are actually very glad that you're giving us the time. Because, sir, one thing it is very special about you is even though you read a lot and a lot of things, you are into everything kind of, right? But yet, you're related and you can talk to people, even Gen Z people, Gen Alpha also, and they will connect to you. How is this magic happening?
Well, nothing magical about it. Yesterday, I was in Gutti. I addressed a crowd of 5,000 people. For the first time in my life, I've seen such a huge crowd, which included kids to grown-ups. In between, there were youngsters. So, connecting to these audiences are at different levels. When you speak to a school kid, you need to come down to their level. I
Yeah.
can't speak some esoteric subject to them. It doesn't hit, they'll sleep off.
Right.
When I speak to older people, I need to connect with their kind of, wavelength. And then youngsters today who have only 30 seconds of time to listen to you are a different cup of tea.
Yeah.
But what I find is that, okay, I read a lot. Yes, I agree with you on that. But more than reading, it is a fact that I cannot take this knowledge when I go up. I need to share this knowledge when I'm here. And that actually, I love telling stories. I'm a grandma actually. If you ask me, grandmother tells stories, but today grandmothers are in old age homes and nobody tells us the stories today. So we grew up listening to stories from our grandmothers, the same story rehashed in a different way. Ek tha raja wala kahani.
Sir, you meet a lot of age groups, different age groups on a continuous basis. So, what do you think the younger generation, like let us say 20 to 35 age group, if we take them, what do you think is the most concerning thing for them in their life, bigger level?
I, me, myself. That's it. They are in their own world. They believe that they are under peer pressure. They need to be showing off that they are also knowledgeable. If there is a rock concert that is happening in somewhere in Bengaluru or Mumbai or even Hyderabad, they need to be in the know of it. The second thing they want to use is a subject knowledge they possess. Okay, if you are talking to an IT professional, they will say that I am the master of AI. Who is Sam Walton? I don't know who the guy is, or whoever is running AI chips or whatever it is. I don't care. I am the best in the field. The third thing they do is their attention span is very less. So if I'm speaking to somebody, even when I used to speak to my daughter, we still speak, but her dialogues are like in monologues. They yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. That's it. Beyond that, attention doesn't go. So it is that 30-second, like an advertisement. The most challenging thing to make in life is to sell a car or a soap or a shampoo to an audience in just 30 seconds. You need to tell all the attributes of the product in 30 seconds and get the hook to make them buy it. It's not great to make a great advertisement which will go and win awards in Cannes, but it's also the fact that that product has to result in a sale. Now, we in this media industry, all of us, including you, we are telling stories to people so that they can buy the hook from you. So you may be running a Lippy thing, which is excellent product.
Yes.
So how do you get a youngster to sit and look at the phone and look at a Lippy and not necessarily to a song or an OTT clip? That's the most important thing.
Basically, what we felt when we started this, of course, nobody, as you said, have time to sit and read a book, especially epics like Mahabharata or Ramayana. They are, in fact, Mahabharata is like 18 parvas and 7 complete volume. So nobody is having that time and attention span, and the medium they want to gain knowledge through also got changed. So that's why we started LipiEpics and we made Mahabharata, all 18 parvas authentically available through audio and read, and also some synopsises in AI videos. But sir, as you said, most of the current generation, first thing me, myself, this makes me come to Mahabharata topic because in Mahabharata, if this context we talk, then only one person comes to everybody's mind, that is Duryodhana.
For me, it is Karna. Today's generation, I'm telling you, they will identify with Karna.
Yeah, in a positive note.
Positive manner. Okay, he had his faults. He is like Vajpayee was a as was often described by his opponents as the right man in the wrong party. So Karna was one such character. But yeah, Duryodhan is there. But then in life, you have villains, you have heroes, and you have people in between, the grays. So that I think is the wonderful thing about Mahabharata. Unlike Ramayana or other epics, here is something that there is a historical proof of it having happened. And there is a place called Kurukshetra in India. Of course, there is a place called Ayodhya also in India for Ramayana. But the fact is, in Mahabharata, as I often say, when we talk to somebody and the person rambles on and they said, Mahabharata Bankar. So this is typically there. Or don't keep Mahabharata at home, you can keep Ramayana, because if you have Mahabharata, you'll keep fighting. A lot of such misconceptions go around actually.
So here I want to make one point. Usually this goes to maybe 20-30% to our movies and media also, because I personally read Mahabharata, and what I noticed, all of us, even today, Netflix, Hotstar, all of the platforms who are creating Mahabharata, they are creating in the perspective of Kurukshetra. But what happened after Kurukshetra is the true wisdom, because after Kurukshetra, Dhritarashtra, gives knowledge to the king Yudhishthir when he becomes king. And even Yudhishthir comes to Bhishma. Krishna takes him to Bhishma and asks Bhishma to give all the knowledge and wisdom to Yudhishthir about life, about how a king should be, how a human being should be in different situations. So even in complicated situations, we have always some or the other complicated situation. One feels right, brain says it is right, but heart says it is no. What should we do?
Today's parlance, they're called life coach. You have CEOs getting trained by life coaches who tell them about life's experiences. But I think the wonderful thing about Mahabharata as such, and when you describe the entire thing in the entirety, is the fact that it starts from somewhere and ends in somewhere. Yesterday I was traveling in this train and I had this IT couple sitting next to me, and I asked them, do you know where Lord Krishna died? Because their young kid was shaking her leg.
Okay.
And I said, you know what grandmothers tell you not to shake the leg?
Yeah.
Do you know why? They said, no. I said, you go to a place called Veraval, which is just near Somnath temple. And that's a temple where there's a tree, an old tree still there, which I believe Lord Krishna sat on top of it. And he kept shaking his leg. And there was an archer below who shot the arrow at his leg thinking it's a bird. And of course, we know the history from there. He got injured and he walked to the Sangam and collapsed and died. And there's a very small samadhi there. I mean, today's political leaders have huge samadhis, but Lord Krishna's samadhi is only a 2x2 structure. But the point is very simple. As you said, many people interpret Mahabharata in different ways. If you read Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan's Mahabharata, it's a different genre actually, because he is appealing to a more eclectic, educated audience. When you're speaking to a youngster today who's like 21, 22, you need to speak their kind of Mahabharata. It needs to be short, snappy, draw in examples and say, wow, this happened and this is why it happened. So there are various facts. In fact, the entire Bhagavad Gita, as we all know, emanated from that.
Right.
And today Bhagavad Gita has actually outrun Mahabharata actually.
True.
Many people, believe a lot in Bhagavad Gita, because it's actually, if you look at the Mahabharata itself and Bhagavad Gita, today a lot of management consultants, and I've sat in such conferences where they tell you that it can be used in today's parlance in managing men and people, men, women and people, or in an office situation when there's a conflict, what do you do?
Exactly, sir. About office politics, in fact, if you're working under a boss and you're in a leadership role or any other roles, so if you had a conflict, how to talk in different situations. If you have power, how to talk and how to handle. If you don't have power and you're weak, but the other party is more powerful, then how to delegate. So the execution of those kind of situations practically, even which are relevant today, I felt awestruck when I read them first time, because oh my god, all these things were told and we missed that part in the generational gap. Maybe our parents and their parents, in the survival mode which we were in at that particular point of time, we missed. But that's not their problem also, because we were in survival mode. But now we are all in a comfort zone, at least. Maybe not internally, but outward we have all food, house and clothing. So it is right time to again go back and see what is our history telling about wisdom.
There is a beautiful dialogue actually in the movie. Sorry interrupting you there. And before I lose my train of thought,
Yeah, sure.
there is this dialogue in the movie Kerala Story,
Huh.
where one of the girls who's impacted by the conversion, attempt to convert, and she's a daughter of a communist leader, and she goes back home and then she accuses her parents, saying that you didn't teach me how Lord Ganesha had a head of an elephant and the body of a human being. You didn't tell me that Lord Shiva was so weak that when his wife died, he carried her in arms and walked around. These are not taught to our kids. We grew up in an era, not your era. We grew up in an era. I'm 63 now. We grew up in an era of Amar Chitrakatha comics, where we read about Mahabharata, we read about Ramayana, we read about various people in that. But we were never told why Draupadi married the Panchapandavas. Now, there's a, I mean, when you look at the actual part of it, when you read about it and all, and again, it's subject to correction that when Yudhishthir came home and he told his mother, look what I've got for you. And she, without even turning around and said, okay, share it with all your brothers.
Yes.
She, for a moment, assumed that it was some food that he has got.
Yes.
And then she couldn't take back her word. Now, in a modern parlance, when you're talking to today's youngsters, they say, what, a woman marrying 5 people? Not possible. So, but then when you explain the context, then they understand how this all came about. Of course, there are backstories to that also as to how it happened and all. But what I think is most interesting is that there are stories within stories in Mahabharata.
Definitely, sir.
You know, they go in different directions actually, if you ask me.
Yes.
And I remember there's a serial called Kali Yuga, which your generation wouldn't have seen, but I think it was directed by Shyam Benegar, if I'm not mistaken. That serial was telecast, I think, on Doordarshan. And it was a takeoff from Mahabharata about how a corporate battle is fought based on what happened in Mahabharata, a part of it. Because it, as you said, it goes in different directions. That's what the beauty of Mahabharata is. Whereas Ramayana is very straightforward. So, okay, there is Rama, he goes to Vanvas, Sita gets kidnapped, goes to Lanka, then Hanumanji goes there, and then we know what happened, the history part of it. But the problem is very simple. In Mahabharata, what I like about it most is, when I say Karna, I heard a lot of people who accused me and said, oh, why do you like him? He's supposed to be a, he backstabs so many people. I said, no, look at this fact that he was born, but he was abandoned. At the same time, he was very good in his trade, whatever he was doing, which is as good as Arjun. But then the fact was that in today's parlance, you see that an Olympic champion who trains in Europe has a better chance of winning a medal than an Indian champion who trains in India. We saw that Neeraj Gupta and all these people, that
Yes.
this is what it is. So in Mahabharata, I love those characters who emanate from that. Today you find enough Shakunis in this world. You can relate it to a daily basis.
Correct.
That, that is what, really stuns us, because here is what Vedavyasa wrote and that part of it. And when he says itihas, this happened.
This happened just like the way it was narrated.
It happened then. So this is what we need to teach our children. And I think Lipi, I have used it in the initial part when you shared the app with me. But the fact that the short chapters are short.
Right.
And then you take an exam kind of thing from that.
Correct.
And that is what the most beautiful thing is, because it is not just reading and then forgetting it. You're tested for what you have learned. It might put off some people, but I think at the end of the day, they will realize that one needs to seriously go through it. I think that the right place to start all this is in the school. A child who is in class 6 may or may not understand, but I think somewhere in 8th or 9th, they will tend to understand life's various things. And that is where we need to put the seed of information into them.
Yeah.
India is full of epics.
True,
you look
sir.
at it everywhere.
Yeah. So the suggestion you have given us almost 15-20 days back when we have met, and we are already implementing that to schools. And the most interesting part, even in schools, we say there are people who are different from different religions.
Yeah.
Not many are from only Hindu. It's not like that. There are all certain religious people and everybody. But the most beautiful part is nobody is objecting Mahabharata. We give Adiparva booklets and we ask them to read for a week or so, and then we go back and conduct a quiz competition. In fact, most of the other religion people, Muslims, Christians, they also participate. The kids participate in a very enthusiastic way. They won gifts and they are like, when are you guys coming back? See, it's not Mahabharata. The best part of Mahabharata is it is not related to religion. It is a life guide. You are in a pickle situation, just go to Mahabharat.
And you'll find a solution.
Yes, exactly.
No, that's what the beauty of it, because when you're kids, your brain is not yet deciphered what's right and what is wrong, or what you perceive as right and wrong, or what your parents tell you. It's only when they start growing up, they just start getting ideas in their brain. Oh, I need to be secular. I shouldn't be chanting certain slokas. People will feel offended if I wear a tika. All these kind of things will kind of come into you when you grow up. As a
Right.
young kid, you are innocent. You're willing to learn. And that is where the beauty is. That's why at a school age, if you push that narrative, and I often thank my teachers in my school, Model High School of Osmania University, where I grew up. There's nothing much of religion at that time, but the fact was they encouraged persons like me, people, kids like me, to go onto the stage and speak, whatever it is, at class 3, class 4, class 5 level. And that is how public speaking actually impressed. So if you look at various parts of Mahabharata also, you will find certain great leaders in different parts. And I think that conversation between, of course, one-way conversation between Lord Krishna and Arjuna, which translates into a Bhagavad
Bhagavad
Gita,
Gita.
it is full of, life's lessons, saying that, if you are in tough times, if you are to do some duty, you'd better do your job.
Yeah.
Stop thinking whether he is my friend, he is my enemy, or he is my relative and all. You are given a job to do. And if you don't do it, you are failed as a leader. That's the most important thing. If you're leading a team, and then you start having a conflict in your mind saying, is it ethically correct, is it not correct? You've been given a mandate. Do it. Then you can review it and see whether it is right or wrong. But if you don't do it, your team will kind of get puzzled as to, or they get confused. What do we do? Our boss is not doing anything. And that is where the Mahabharata part comes in, where you're told that you have to take certain decisions in the right earnest. In fact, Ashwatthama thing,
Yeah.
such a beautiful way it was, okay, beautiful and tragic way it was conveyed, that Ashwatthama, the elephant, passed away. But it was not said so.
Yeah.
But there's only one person who went and conveyed this news that this Lord,
Yudhishthira, Dharma Raja.
yes.
Yes, yes.
And what happened when he came back? He got a tongue lashing from Lord Krishna. He said, I had told you certain things. I told you to go and say it this way. And you went, the rest all followed the dictum. You went and did something which I did not tell you to do. And that is a lesson again in management, that when you're given an instruction, you do it to the T. And the moment you violate from the T, your boss takes you on immediately. Again, right or wrong, it's a different debate. But the fact is that Lord Krishna did that part of it, which I also didn't know till a few weeks ago, that there was Yudhishthira who literally was given a dressing down by Lord Krishna for having violated that particular code which was given to him. And that, I think, is the best part of a human being. He wanted to be because he was not supposed to say a lie. And that is what it is.
So, yes, sir. In Mahabharat, mostly right now in our times, we are concerned about what is right, what is wrong. And even if somebody comes and say, that is from their perspective, and we don't usually accept other people's perspectives easily. We are adamant, maybe.
We are.
I mean, at least our generation and all. So, in Mahabharata, it's not about right or wrong. It is about Swadharma and the Loka Dharma. So, if something is happening, and Dharma is always contextual, it is Adharma, but there are many people who are getting Dharma by that. So, it is always measured in a different perspective, which we almost missed to let this generation understand. Once we come out of the context of right and wrong and think in the way of Swadharma and Lokadharma, then most of our inner conflicts get solved. And that is not 1 3-minute episode that can be understood in. That is why it is from A to Z of Mahabharata, you learn and you grow without you also knowing, and you become a lot matured, and maybe at least some peace, your brain will be calm in some of the situations, maybe 100% not in 100% of situations. But in fact, there is one beautiful thing, sir. Everybody learns Bhagavad Gita, right? And that's the most knowledgeable wisdom given by a god in the human form to a human, right? You know what happens after some time? Arjuna forgets Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, I heard about this.
Arjuna forgets it and goes to Krishna and say, Krishna, you told me so much of wisdom, but I forgot all of it.
I didn't
Tell
write
me
it
again.
down. I didn't write it down.
Exactly. So, in the same manner, even if we read or listen to Mahabharata one time, we forget usually. Our brain can't take that much wisdom per
Yeah,
that
it's
much. So,
absolutely.
it's always about the repetition and going back to it. That's where one time doing it's not. That's what our gurukuls also teaches, right? Practice,
Practice.
practice,
Keep.
practice.
That's true.
So, sir, what do you think if Vyasa comes and lives in this generation? He would have written Mahabharata again, or what? He would be again creating a app like LipiEpics.
He needs to get Lord Ganesha first. Because, for somebody to sit there and take this dictation without a break and with a condition, don't ask me anything, any
Yeah.
question, that kind of stuff. I think it's the art of writing that has gone in today's generation. I mean, if Vedavyasa comes today's generation, as you asked, and he's asked to write Mahabharata all over again, he would have to write in a different context. Because that era, there was something called Dharma, Adharma. Today, everybody feels what he or she thinks is right. There is nothing called wrong on the other side. No, I am right. You are wrong. But then they don't measure like that. And that it happens in the classroom, it happens with the teacher. The most naughtiest child who's asking questions is told to shut up. Don't ask questions. Because the child is considered naughty. But the question is that child is able to ask a question because he or she has grasped something which he or she feels is not right or wrong. They want to ask a question.
Right.
The others are sitting there just taking in like a zombie. And there's one kid who kind of is wanting to ask a question, usually from the last bench. And then they're told, no, shut up. Because we are conditioned that in our life, that you don't question.
Right.
And I think in Mahabharata also, in a sense, I felt quite often that when Lord Krishna is speaking, Arjuna is kind of dumbstruck.
Yeah.
He either he didn't have the guts to back answer or question, or when Lord Krishna is saying, let him say, I mean, I will imbibe everything. After all, what is Lord Krishna trying to do is to convince Arjuna to do his job.
True.
I mean, here is a man who has an inner conflict, saying, I'm fighting my cousins, I'm fighting my brothers, I'm fighting my gurus, I'm fighting everybody. Is it right to do it or not? Now put a Ukraine-Russia conflict into it, or a Israel-Gaza conflict into it, and you can get a modern parlance. What would be going on in Netanyahu's mind when he orders a strike on Gaza or even on, Qatar? There is so much of modern thought that comes from there. That is why you see a lot of these gurus today, they use Mahabharata to go into management practices, a lot of management practices. It may not be all correct, the way we look at it, but certain parts of it, certainly, there's a lot of life's lessons in that.
Definitely, sir. Sir, is there any situation in your 63 years of life that where you referred Mahabharata in a situation and inspired by it or took advice from it?
Yeah, I think it is the fact that Lord Krishna, going after Arjuna and telling him all this, but then when Karna has this problem and his wheel gets stuck,
Yeah.
remember he has a charioteer also.
Right, right.
Okay.
Shalya.
Yeah. So the problem is that charioteer is not as skilled as Lord Krishna was, or rather not adept at it. And when he's trying to move the chariot, that's where that entire episode comes in about him being killed. And one looks back and says, was it right to do it? I often have this argument saying no. And this is what happens in a battle. Why do they take a 10th class failed, or I'm not saying failed, 10th class student as a Jawan when he grows up? It's the fact that when he's given a gun and asked to shoot, he just shoots. His commanding officer says, shoot at the enemy. But if you take a PhD guy and give him the same gun, and he is asked to shoot, he will say, sir, it is right. That guy is facing the other way. What about his human rights? Does he have the same gun as I have? Is it right to do all this? And by the time he'll get shot.
Yes.
So this is the problem. So when you are given an order, just follow it. And that is what it is. So I think end of the day, because so many characters within Mahabharata, you have somebody who's who Draupadi, as she says, and there are so many books on Draupadi actually, which do convey some of fiction, pure fiction, but then when you read it, you feel, I say, oh, maybe Draupadi thought she did think like this, isn't it? She would have thought like this. And I think somewhere in one of the interviews, my friend Ami Ganatra, she talks about this part of it, that there are so many things about Draupadi and very complex character as such. And how did she take it that she had somebody had to write a fiction to put her perspective in place. But Mahabharata never allowed her to do that. Okay, she was what she is, and that's it. Same goes with explaining different context of the Bhagavad Gita itself. Because when, as you rightly said, within the bigger context of Mahabharata, here is Bhagavad Gita in between. And that actually is more popular than Mahabharata itself. Because Mahabharata has an ending, a start and an end to it with those 18 days.
Yes.
There is 4 million people who are supposed to have been killed. Now somebody was deciphering whether how much of that would be the actual population. They said people from Indonesia or Cambodia right up to Syria came and fought in the Mahabharata war. Now when you look at it from a historical perspective, is it possible to travel from Syria to come and fight in India? Possibly yes. Or from Cambodia to come to Bharat and fight? Yes. And that is where the entire thing comes about history. And that's the wonderful thing about history.
Yeah.
That you don't question it. You just imbibe it and you said take it and say, wow, this really happened. Because when you said, did Ram Setu exist as per Ramayana? There's so much of debate on that. It went to the court. And even the Ram Jannabhoomi thing. And I was reading this beautiful book called The Case for Ram, written by Potharaju and others, and based on Mr. Parasaran's defense. Amazing amount of work. The kind of detailing that has been gone into creating, saying that the 200 odd square yards of land is where Lord Ram was born, period. And how that was proved is amazing. The research that went into it, the kind of work that went into it. Now when you talk of Kurukshetra, something similar erupts there also, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is the most important thing.
So again, going back and getting the proofs of something which happened in different 5,000 years back, and Ramayana, it's almost impossible to find, but that people, they have commanding hard work they have done, commendable hard work, and the dedication they have put. If they have put, that means it is very important for our Bharat as a nation. Also, we need our history backing us. So in that sense, when it comes to the next generations, Gen Alphas, and even current parents, so is it important to make our epics an everyday 10 minutes habit, or we should just let them watch movies and get all kind of different perceptions and non-facts to be corrupted our epics and all?
Yeah, you have brought up a very important point actually. I often, again, whenever I speak at public functions in schools or colleges, and especially when parents are there at annual days of school where I get invited as a chief guest, I often fault them and say that today's parents don't have time. They're busy running around, husband and wife, making money. They're traveling, they're on tour, the ayah is taking care of the kids, or the grandparents are taking care of the kids. There is a cook who comes and cooks.
Yeah.
The kids are in their own world, they are in their iPads and their mobiles and their homework. The disconnect, in the older days, there was less of television. There was hardly any television. I remember when I was in school, there was no television. It's only 85 that the Asian Games come. Even then, we couldn't afford a television. So we should go to one house in a colony and watch color television those days. The point is, the moment that television came in, the connect between the parents and the children were lost. Before that, they used to sit and talk. And that part of it is gone. Now everybody is so busy that nobody has time to talk.
Right.
And this is what disturbs me. And I mean, it's leading to a lot of other situations, which I don't want to bring it up here, but it is leading to a lot of other issues. So this ability, as you said, to how do you tell a story to this generation is a fact. If a parent sits with a child today, they might be physically there, but mentally they are disconnected. They are thinking tomorrow's thing, where do I go, tomorrow's homework, my friend's birthday party. These are running in their mind. The point is, we need to make our epics interesting, and they should be able to relate and say, oh, what, wait, there's somebody in my classroom who is like this, somebody in my class who is like this. That is when it hits them and saying, wow, this is how the story is told. And that is why I'm again coming back to the fact that advertising agencies or the creative guys in that, like Piyush Pandey, who passed away, he was a brilliant storyteller. Brilliant storyteller. So any chocolate that is selling, or a shoe that is selling, or a car that is selling, or a scooter that is sold, was the fact that you need to tell a story. 30
Yes.
seconds and be done with it. So your LipiEpic also, when the way you see the app, is that you don't go on for too long. Because
Yes.
after 5 minutes or 10 minutes in today's generation, my generation may still watch it. But today's generation will say, "ठीक है, बाद में देखेंगे, we'll watch the rest of it tomorrow." And that tomorrow will never come.
Yes, sir.
That is what it is. So I think that is where that you take that break. You should know how much of time that an average child in class 3, class 5, class 7 will spend on it. If it is a homework, they will still do it. If it is a creative work in the classroom, they will still spend some time. But if you ask them to listen to something, that is where the switch off is happening. You should know when the switch is on, when it is off.
Yeah, that is why we have limited our stories, sir. Per day, you can listen to 2 stories free, and those are hardly 3 minutes. And after that, you are interested. By doing tests for the stories, you get coins
Correct.
by giving right answers.
I have a lot of coins.
You have lot of coins, very nice, sir. So very soon we are also planning to turn them into dharmic coins and can be used for seva, for some go seva, or to help somebody else. We are
Wonderful.
initiating such kind of to grow communities who wants to be a part of our epic journey. So that is still under process, but with coins you can buy another 2 story and listen to them. So we are limiting them, but if they are interested, they can buy. We are also offering subscription based set. Recently we have added it so that we understand who are committed and who wants to listen more. We should not restrict them too. That is why we are only putting 499 rupees per year, entire year, and you can listen the whole 18 parvas in 3 different modes, and also Ramayana. We are introducing
People pay
Ramayana.
more for Spotify than that, That I mean, your package is less than Spotify and all those other apps that charge so much of money to. I mean, I subscribe to New York Times and Washington Post,
Yes.
but they charge a bomb. But the fact is simple: is that once you get a person hooked, even the price doesn't matter actually. But today's generation, the parents especially who are going to pay for it, they need to understand the value of what they're paying for.
Yes,
And I
sir.
think that is where the push to educate them first and
Yes.
convince them first is important. Whether they give it to the child or give it to the neighbor or give it as a birthday gift, it doesn't matter. And that is what it is. I mean, today you finished Mahabharata, you started with Ramayana now. I mean, tomorrow you don't know which other epic you will take up. And this is what is most important, because everything is a part of our Sanathana Dharma, where we come from, our culture that we are in, and those grandmother stories that are there. And I think everybody is told you need to be like Lord Ram. Mahatma Gandhi ji also said that it should be Ram Raj. What is the Ram Rajya concept as it? Where everybody is happy, the king is taking care of his subjects and all that. But you never heard Gandhiji saying you need to be like Arjun or you like Yudhishthir. No, you were told it is Ram Rajya. So that is where I'm coming in again, that there are different contexts to different people.
Yeah, coming to this, Suresh ji, I wanted to tell one thing to the audience also. Basically, yes, your point is correct that everybody says Ram Raj, but in this current era, is it possible to be like Rama when everybody is throwing opinions at you like stones and doing, and we are living, to be honest, in chaos.
That's true.
No matter what people say, we are calm, we are trying to get calmer, but what internally is chaos only. So sometimes becoming Arjuna is needed, sometimes becoming Bhima is also needed. When you're continuously in a toxicity around you, you have to become Bhima and make sure you're stronger and you get out of the toxic environment too. So it's not one hero. You should imbibe all heroes and bring out one according to the situation.
You're right about Lord Ram. Actually, I mean, come to think of it, in today's generation, if you want to be somebody like Lord Ram, then you nearly need to be somebody 1 in a million or 1 in a billion.
And
Extremely difficult.
Ram have Lakshman and Hanuman, who are, Lakshman is very aggressive. If somebody says something, hey, I'm going to go and fight, just like Bhima. And Hanuman is also there.
Correct.
If you have such kind of power behind
Support
you
staff.
walking, then you can become Ram.
No, it's also important to understand the fact that Ramayana is limited in its context.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a very straightforward story. I mean,
True.
Lord Ram suspects Sita just because he overheard a comment about her fidelity and other things, and then he does the Agni Pariksha. Now, when you look at the modern parlance, this is exactly what is happening with divorces today. I mean, suddenly somebody suspects something, you just take off and say, okay, I'm going to prove this right, I'll do this. But that is exactly what Lord Ram was. He was also Maryada Purushottam at the same time. He was worshipped as a god.
Yeah.
You never hear Yudhishthir or for that matter, Bhim, in a sense, being worshipped. But Lord Ram is worshipped as a Maryada Purushottam. The fact that there is an Ayodhya, now there is a temple there. Okay, Ram Lalla is there, but that is not the point. The point is, in Mahabharata, except for Lord Krishna, I don't think the others are really worshipped there. That is exactly the point.
So that is also the main point, and I also want to say this, it's not about Ram suspecting it. I mean, with all due respect, I'm not correcting, but I'm saying he did not suspect. Rama is such a character, sir. His foremost importance, Dasharath, from the childhood of Rama, he made him groom to become the king. So the main important task in his mind, in his Rama's mind, first respect parents, and then his most important thing in life, to fulfill the purpose of king. After that, his personal life comes. That is why he has done, at least that is what I understood from
Yeah, it's correct.
reading.
I mean, I don't dispute that. See, the point is the inferences are there many,
Yeah.
and that is where, for example, when you talk of why does he send Hanuman first?
Yeah.
To go to Lanka. He could have done it himself. But then the fact is that when you look at today's diplomacy, Modi ji doesn't go when there's a crisis. Or for that matter, Trump doesn't go when there's a crisis. He sends one of his advisors to go there and negotiate first with Putin or with Zelensky. And then they come back and say, and when it doesn't work, he says, go bomb them. Okay? That's exactly what it is, isn't it? So this is what the fact is, Ram wanted to prove that he is beyond, he needs course correction.
Yeah.
He needs to prove himself right because he is the king.
He is the king.
The perfect king.
Yeah.
In Mahabharata, you are lucky that there's no perfect king there.
Yeah, we can use it.
The way various people have done it. As I said, people have made serials, people have made, B.R. Chopra made Mahabharata, which made it extremely famous in every living room on a Sunday. People sat and watched it despite all the inaccuracies in it, but doesn't matter. At least you brought it to the living room.
Correct.
So that is the point. Now, my point is very simple. I mean, the Lipi thing is one way of telling a story, but I think at a later context, you might have to actually even make videos out of it, because suddenly there are storytelling that is going to come to the fore. And from there, you graduate to the next bigger thing, which is basically, I don't know whether you ever will get to making an AI kind of movie on this, but that is what Mahabharata has certain segments in it. You know it very well. You've worked on it so long. There's so many segments within the 18 Parvas, and that is what, if you want to take up one of each, and within that, again, there is something else that you need to work at. So maybe a 30-seconders of reels that come out, I think that conveys a story of a bigger thing, that here is an epic, here is something that really happened. And this is what we Indians should be proud of. Because when you talk of Moses separating the sea and walking with the 10 commandments, nobody's questioning that. But when you say Ram Setu, everybody's, how do you know it existed? How do you know Kurukshetra happened? Arey boss, you didn't question the other things that happened. But when it comes to this one, you definitely have all the questions in mind. So be it, we'll live with it, and people have proved that it really happened at that point in time. And so many people died, which is what the battles are all about in today's life. And I think that is the great thing about Mahabharata, and I like it. So each time, that's what I said, I started with a conversation saying Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan's book, and then you come down the ages, then you read Amiganantra's book and all these other books. There's a different context altogether.
Yeah.
That was more serious, academic, and here is something more, I wouldn't say light-hearted, but at the same time, it's more readable in today's context.
Definitely, sir. In fact, in Lipi also, yes, we have AI videos of each parva, and they can watch 18 parvas synopsis, what happened on an outline, and then they go into the depths of it. After watching it, they can go read, listen, give test, and have it. But, sir, lastly, one thing I want to request: what is the main cause that we are not going back to the epics that we have? Everybody respects it. We have the proof. We said LipiEpics have Mahabharat. 3 lakhs is where we are right now. 3 lakhs people downloaded it. But coming back every day and listening, because if it is a serial, not Mahabharata, it's a fiction or anything like any other serial, series, web series, people are more into it. They go back, they binge watch. Okay, if not binge watch is available, if not, then they go back tomorrow and they watch it, right? But there is a sense of responsibility. They download it, but they don't come back again to listen and complete all 18 parvas. Is it the issue of there's no time to me, or is it the issue of not having enough respect towards the history that we have, or is it issue basically what we have? We don't have commitment issues usually. We can't commit for longer times.
No, it's, I think, a combination of all this. But the base fact is very clear, is the lack of time, or at least perceived lack of time. I mean, there is 24 hours in a day. I actually put up a request long back to God saying, make it 36 for me, because 24 is not enough for me. But that request is yet to be accepted. But anyway, coming back to serious stuff, yes. I think the main thing that you talked about web series is what is that they leave you with something that you want to catch on the next time. And serials do this also. The old serials, when you used to sit and watch at home, they had an ending and you'll be wondering what happened next.
Yeah.
So if you do that part of it well, that person, that's either it's a child or even a grown up, wanting to know iske baad kya hua. That is when the people jump and say, okay, now I want to watch that. That's why all the web series end like that. That they have, people know what has happened. They would have read the reviews of it, but still they want to know what really happened after that. And I think it's also a thing that we need to bring back the habit of reading. More importantly, I'm not here, it's not about reading, but the fact that today's generation does not read. Let us accept that fact. And there is enough of research which shows that when you read, your memory skills improve dramatically. And things like Alzheimer's drop, even in case of elders. When you start reading well, it is scrolling down doesn't give you that kind of brain work that really happens.
It actually drains our brain and we go numb after a long time of the scrolling and all. Brainless scrolling.
I mean, people come to my house and say, they look up the bookshelf and say, oh, so many books. You read all this? I said, and sometimes I read halfway through and then I stopped. Then I picked up something else. I was reading that. Now, even for me to complete a book in one sitting, which I used to do when I was young, Arthur Haley's and other books, classics, which are Earl Stanley Gardner and Hercule Poirot stories, Agatha Christie's and all that. We used to read those cover to cover in one sitting or two sittings. But now the attention span is so much that by the time you're reading, somebody rings a bell and then you've forgotten what it is all about. And then by the time you don't go back again and check. And this is something that really happens with all this. If you go into a metro today, a metro train in Hyderabad or any other city for that matter, 95% of the audience, of the people who are traveling,
It's like this only.
are on the phone. What do they watch? They watch some funny reel. They watch some musical stuff. But if you ask them to watch Lipi and Mahabharata, they'll say, nah, ghar jaake dekhte hain, yahan nahi. Yeah, because they don't want to be seen watching something fuddy-duddy or old. This is what happens with youngsters today. The moment you're watching something very serious, they'll say, oh, you watch Mahabharata? Oh, you watch Ramayana? But today, I'm so happy with the bhajan clubbing that is happening. Look at that. If you go to an ISKCON temple today, I mean, I keep going to Jubilee Hills ISKCON temple
It's
often.
an awesome one on Sundays.
The kids, the youngsters, the way they dance.
The dance, yes.
And this is something that should happen. I always admire Sadhguru, Jagi Vasudev, Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. They brought youngsters back into Hindu religion. They started believing them. Otherwise, youngsters were going away from it. They didn't want to go to a temple unless it's a special day or the parents dragged them to the temple. But today what is happening? The bhajan clubbing is there. There are people coming to ISKCON temple and dancing their hearts out because they are not prohibited from doing it. They are not told that, oh, you can't dance in a temple. As long as it's sensible, it is good, it is eclectic, it's good. But the
Right.
moment you're prohibiting that, then they say, forget it, I'm not coming. That's what draws kids there, and that I'm very, very happy. Actually, I love being there on Sundays and to see that audience that goes around with the palki. This is something that today's generation should learn from. But the problem is parents should take the initiative for that. And as I said before, parents are so busy either making their career run, they're so busy doing other things in life that they don't have time for the children. Children are all sent for tuitions. They do the homework that way, so that parents don't have any responsibility. Parents have to do this. I grew up when a father used to get those days Illustrated Weekly of India home, and he used to give me that. We used to read, me, my sister, and my brother. We used to fight for that Illustrated Weekly, and then later on India Today. He used to get one magazine every day. I mean, Blitz, R.K. Karanjia, those days. These are things we grew up with. And of course, Amar Chitrakatha, comics. I mean, we used
Yes.
to devour every page of it, every word of it. But today, I don't think Amar Chitrakatha finds a mention in even a kid's library book at home. And this is what is the most disturbing fact, but I'm happy, and I'm really happy, because I've shared this with many my neighbors also. Kids who are staying next door or in my apartment, and all of them came back and said, it's wonderful. I only want to ask them, how many did you watch? How many coins did you get? And that is going to be, that is show that how deep their involvement was with it.
Right,
That's
right.
what it is.
Yeah, definitely, sir. LipiEpics is also for parents who wants their kids to learn something about our history and about our wisdom, but they don't have time to immerse in. They can just give access to LipiEpics, and we have very strict restrictions towards the advertisements and everything. So it is child safe, LipiEpics, and definitely it can become one entertainment for kid, which can also give them knowledge without them knowing it. It's just in our childhood also, when my parents tell stories, we couldn't get bored because we get entertainment through it, but those stories are remembered till now. And that's the beauty of stories, of especially our Mahabharata, Ramayana, and all of what parents and grandparents tells are from these only, the stories, the whole grandparent stories come from Mahabharata, Ramayana
That's
only.
it. They just change a situation here or a situation there.
Names.
That's it. So, but it sounds to you that it's a new story. Today, let me listen to it. By halfway through it, you are already asleep in
Yeah.
the night. And that's what is the beauty. Today, I often say this as even we close this conversation or whatever it is, that parents today say, I go to Singapore for a holiday, I go to Europe for a holiday with my kids. But how many of them say, okay, right, let me take my kids to Kedarnath, or let me take my kids to Khajuraho, let me take my kids to Triambakeshwar, or to the temple down south. There's so many of them actually. The Birdeshwara temple, one of the classic wonders of the world, or the Ellora temple.
Yeah.
It's I mean, these are like which kids should see, and the parents have a responsibility. But then going to an Indian place, theek hai yaar. I would rather go to Singapore, I would go to Dubai, I would go to Europe for a holiday. It's so much to see for a lifetime in India. A lifetime is not enough,
Yes.
honestly. I
Yes.
mean, that is what is the beauty of our country, our Bharat, that there is so much to see, there's so much to read, and of course, an
Yeah.
epic like the Mahabharata.
So definitely this conversation is a wonderful one, and we will have more such
Sure.
conversations. End of this conversation, I really want to say one thing. More than looking outwards, we've been brainwashed to see that westernization is much more valued, that there it has value, and we are like somewhere inferior to so many things. That's what the brainwashing happened, and right now everybody's looking at India, and now it is time to Indians to know actual India, actual Indian history, and get back to the roots. If you go outside and they know everything about their history, they teach their kids, but what are we teaching?
We don't.
Yeah, where are the roots? Where are the basic roots? Be stronger in our history, and whenever you go any country, you can be proud of the history of what your country has given.
So it's Alexa play Coldplay concert, that would come, but Alexa play Aditya Hriday Stotam.
Yes,
You don't know
sir.
who said that and why Aditya Hriday Stotam came about. Was to kill, how to get rid of Ravana is something that was taught. And I also didn't know this. Now it's played every day on my Alexa at home in the morning. And that's what the most wonderful thing, sadhana, sargam, singing it. You imbibe the words actually. Even when you're driving, if sometimes when I'm stressed out, I put Gayatri mantra. Or I listen to Venkateshwara Suprabhatam. I know it's a wrong time at 10 o'clock in the morning to listen to that, but still, it calms down your mind. It brings down your BP because you're running first gear and second gear in the traffic. But I think that is where it's all about. But today's youngsters, yeah, they have the taste and they have every right to listen to a Coldplay or for that matter anybody else. But at the same time, there is so much that we have in Bharat that can be talked about.
Definitely, sir. And we will talk about all these things
Sure.
many times soon. And thank you so much for the time.
Thank you.
And thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you very much.